بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Have you ever held the Quran and pondered the sheer miracle of its existence? This isn't just a book, it's a living, breathing testament to divine communication, a text that survived centuries unaltered. Today, we are tracing its incredible journey, how it descended from the heavens, how it was protected against all odds, and why it remains the ultimate guide for a quarter of the world's population. Stay with us to discover the miraculous story every believer must know. Our story begins with a man, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, known for his deep contemplation and impeccable character long before prophethood. Seeking solitude, he would often retreat to the tranquil Cave of Hira near Mecca. Around the age of 40, during the sacred month of Ramadan, in a moment of profound spiritual stillness, the course of human history changed forever. On that night of destiny, Laylatul Qadr, the angel Jibril appeared to him with a commanding presence. The instruction was simple and clear, conveying the command that he must read. The prophet, who was unlettered, replied that he was unable. The command was repeated with an intense embrace, forcing the weight of the message onto him. At that moment, the first verses of the Quran were revealed, telling the prophet to read in the name of his Lord, who created humans from a tiny, clinging substance. This moment was overwhelming. The prophet rushed home, seeking comfort from his beloved wife Khadijah. Khadijah immediately recognized the spiritual gravity of the event. She reassured him, saying that a person of his truthfulness, kindness, and hospitality would never be abandoned by Allah. She sought confirmation from her scholarly cousin, Waraka ibn Nawfal, who affirmed that this was the same divine messenger who had visited Prophet Musa alayhi salam. This was the sign that his prophethood had begun. The Quran was not delivered as a single volume, but gradually, piece by piece, over 23 years. This method was not random, it was a profound act of divine mercy. It gave the early Muslim community time to learn and absorb the teachings step by step. This was important because the message brought big changes to their social life, laws, and spiritual beliefs. For example, rules regarding prayer or the prohibition of intoxicating substances were introduced in stages, giving people time to adjust. This continuous communication also provided the prophet and his followers with solace and strength during the brutal years of persecution in Mecca. When hardship struck, a verse would be revealed that offered an answer, a correction, or an encouragement, reminding them that their struggles were fully known to the Almighty. One verse explains that the Quran was revealed gradually to strengthen the prophet's heart and make the message firm within him. The protection of the Quran is a miracle in itself, preserved through a unique system that combines oral memorization and careful written recording. From the moment a verse was revealed, the prophet made its preservation a top priority. He strongly encouraged his companions to memorize the words, creating a lasting chain of memorizers that continues to this day. Simultaneously, he appointed a dedicated group of scribes to record the revelations. They wrote the verses on whatever was available, stones, bones, leather, and palm leaves, and the prophet personally instructed them on the exact chapter and position for every single verse. This was the original blueprint, laid down by divine instruction. After the prophet's passing, a crisis emerged during the caliphate of Abu Bakr. Following a major battle, a great number of the Quran's memorizers were martyred. The caliph, urged by his companion Umar, realized that relying solely on oral tradition was no longer sufficient for future generations. Zayd ibn Thabit, the prophet's main scribe and one of the most skilled memorizers of the Quran, was entrusted with a huge and vital task that would preserve the words of Allah. He meticulously gathered all the written fragments of the Quran and carefully cross-checked them with the memories of the companions. For every single verse, he required confirmation from at least 2 independent witnesses to ensure accuracy. The result of Zayd's careful work was the first complete and unified manuscript of the Quran, known as a Sahifa. It was then safely kept by Hafsa, the Prophet's wife, ensuring that the words of God were preserved for generations to come. The need for further standardization arose during the Caliphate of Uthman. As Islam spread rapidly into vast new territories, people from different cultures and dialects began reciting the text with variations. This threatened the unity of the community. Caliph Uthman took a decisive action to safeguard the faith. He instructed Zayd ibn Thabit and a dedicated committee to produce several complete standardized copies of the Quran based on the original manuscript. These copies were carefully made to follow the Quraysh dialect, the dialect used by the Prophet. These official copies, called the Uthmanic Codices, were sent to all major Islamic centers. All other unofficial fragments were ordered to be destroyed to avoid any confusion. This important decision, made with the agreement of the companions, guaranteed that the Quran would stay the same everywhere in the world. Proof of its divine preservation, the text of the Quran remains perfectly consistent, whether spoken by a novice reader in the East or a seasoned Hafiz in the distant West. This universal consistency is a continuous miracle. This entire effort reflects the fulfillment of a divine promise that Allah Himself would protect this final revelation. Unlike other sacred texts, which have undergone centuries of revision, translation, or interpolation, the Quran remains in its original form and language. Furthermore, the detailed science of tajweed, which preserves correct recitation and pronunciation, ensures the Quran is recited just as the Prophet recited it. Millions of hufaz around the world serve as the ultimate safeguard, keeping the divine word alive through a chain of memorization that has never been broken. Beyond its history, the Quran is a linguistic and literary marvel. It was revealed to a society that prided itself on poetry and rhetoric, yet even the greatest poets of the time were stunned into silence. Its style is neither poetry nor ordinary speech, but a unique rhythm and power they could not match. It challenged humanity to produce even one chapter like it, a challenge that has remained unanswered for 14 centuries. The phonetic power of its recitation is equally astonishing. Its melody and rhythmic structure affect the listener deeply, regardless of whether they understand Arabic. Accounts tell of non-Muslims being moved to tears simply by hearing its verses, a testament to its spiritual resonance. The Quran also speaks about things that people in the 7th century could not have known, and that modern science has only understood in recent times. For example, it says the heavens and the earth were once joined before being separated. It also mentions the heavens expanding, which people today connect with the Big Bang and the expanding universe. It detailed the function of mountains as pegs or stabilizers for the earth's crust. It also describes the stages of human development in the womb, starting from a clinging substance to a small, chewed-like lump of flesh. These stages can only be seen today with modern microscopic tools. These descriptions serve as powerful signs demonstrating the knowledge of the all-knowing Creator. More fundamentally, the Quran is a universal guide. It speaks to the shared history of humanity, mentioning prophets like Abraham, Moses, and Jesus as part of a single, continuous divine message. It speaks to every person, regardless of their background, providing a balanced framework for morality, justice, and spiritual fulfillment. The power of the Quran is its ability to transform. It took a fragmented and unjust tribal society and brought it together as a united and moral community. In just one generation, it helped eliminate deep-rooted social problems. For us today, the Quran is a constant source of comfort, clarity, and hope. It reminds us that this life is a test, and that ultimate peace lies in submission to Allah. It tells us that God's mercy is greater than our sins, offering a path to redemption. It acknowledges our trials, but reminds us to seek patience and gratitude, saying that difficulty will always be followed by ease. So how do we honor this gift? Not by simply placing it on a shelf, but by living its message. We must commit to studying its meaning, reflecting on its wisdom, and implementing its teachings in our homes and communities. Each time we recite a letter of the Quran, we receive a reward that is multiplied 10 times. Every person we inspire to connect with it becomes a source of continuous charity for us. The Quran is not just history, it is our lifeline, a source of light in the dark, and a testament to the unchanging truth. Cherish this connection, make it the foundation of your life, and share its light with the world. But the journey doesn't end here. The true miracle of the Quran lies in its application to our lives today. We encourage you to take the next step. Don't just read the words, but study their meaning and strive to live by the justice, mercy, and wisdom they contain. If the story of the Quran's preservation, from the quiet cave to the standardized codex we have today, has inspired you, please show your support by hitting the like button on this video. Your support helps us share this essential knowledge with others seeking truth and guidance. Do you have a favorite verse or a moment in the Quran's history that inspires you most? Share it in the comments below. We love to hear how the divine word is shaping your spiritual journey. Join our community for more deep dives into the history and wisdom of Islam. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. May Allah grant us all the wisdom to understand this sacred trust and the strength to live by its light. Until next time, peace be upon you.